Welcome back to Gibbo MMA, and we are previewing UFC Perth. I'm out here getting the sunset, getting some vitamin D. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Australia on the Gold Coast. If you want the specific spot, comment location, because this is my go-to hiking spot. 10 minutes down the road, very quiet. You get a nice view of the Gold Coast. Maybe we'll do a sunrise review and get the sunrise of the Gold Coast high rises. But if you're watching this, you're probably going, what the heck? You're not in your room, you're not in some studio or whatever. No, do it a bit different here now. We get outdoors. I like to mix it in a bit, and instead of just filming this in my bedroom, I was like, why don't we go outside, get the legs pumping a bit of a hike up here, not too far, and talk some fights. So we got UFC Perth. Carlos Ulberg takes on Dominick Reyes, and this light heavyweight fight, the winner possibly could get a title shot next. We do have Yuri versus Khalil Roundtree in a couple next weekend after. So big, a lot on the line in this fight, and I'm really looking forward to this main event. The rest of the card is great. Especially if you're an Aussie, because there's a lot of upcoming prospects, Australian and New Zealand, and the Anzacs on this card. So if you're not from Australia or New Zealand, and you're from Europe, United States, Asia, pretty much anywhere else around the world, and you're thinking, why should I watch this UFC card? It's got all these ANZ, we call them Australian, New Zealand fighters on it. There's only one bout where there isn't an Australian or New Zealand fighter, which is the first fight of the night between the girls, and the rest are just all Aussie, New Zealand. And why should you pay attention? Why would you get up at odd hours of the day, morning or night, to watch this card? And it's to tune in to watch one of the greatest sporting career comebacks we are witnessing right now. And that is to watch Dominick Reyes go in there and continue his win streak back to the title. This guy was in the darkest of depths in his career, coming off 3 KO losses in a row. He was this close, by a whisker, becoming the UFC champ. He lost that controversial decision to John Jones, and then he went on that losing skid. He was on a 4-fight losing skid. People were telling him to retire. They were saying his chin is gone. But look at him now. He is now main eventing in Perth and could potentially be getting a UFC title shot. And that is why you should be tuning in for this. If you are not an Australian, New Zealand supporting those fighters, but to support and watch and see if Dominick Reyes can continue this insane run that he is on. But he's coming up against a tough guy, Carlos Ulberg. He trains out of City Kickboxing, as you know. Israel Adesanya, Dan Hooker, you got Brad Riddell. Plenty of killers out of that gym. You got Navajo Sterling, who is on this fight card as well. Eugene Bareman, one of the best coaches in MMA. So Carlos Ulberg is on an 8-fight win streak. He's coming off that win against Jan Blachowicz, that 3-round absolute, man, that was a disappointing watch. I don't know what was behind that performance. Controversial decision, but he got it. So he kind of lost, in the fans' eyes, kind of dipped a bit, but it doesn't matter. He got the win. That's all that matters. And Carlos Ulberg is a dangerous striker. He's pretty quick for a heavyweight. He's got the power. He's got that check hook. I believe this is the battle of the check hooks. Both Reyes and Ulberg love to use their check hooks. And will this fight go the distance? I believe it can. I believe it very much can. I'm pretty 50-50. Like, who I'm picking, I think you would know who I'm picking by now with the way I started. I'm picking Dominick Reyes. I like Carlos Ulberg. If he wins, I'll be super stoked for him. But I want to see this Dominick Reyes come back. come to fruition in him getting that UFC title. And that's why I got Dominick Reyes. And yeah, I very much believe this fight can go the distance. And if it does, very much favors Carlos Ulberg, because he is becoming that kind of points decisionator, just using high fight IQ. Like, he doesn't need to put himself in dangerous positions. But Dominick Reyes, I think he's gonna try and get a finish and not make this go to the judges' scorecards. Both guys have pretty good cardio. We did see Ulberg when he came into the UFC get that loss. I'll just bring it up, where he did have cardio issues, and he ended up, getting finished. I'll just bring it up. But he's come good since then, Carlos Ulberg, with the cardio issues. But with those other fights, he's been pretty hesitant. Is this him being worried about his cardio and being real hesitant, not trying to explode too much? And would 5 rounds not favor him? Because this is his first 5-round fight in the UFC. And yeah, what's the pressure going to be like for him? And yeah, it was Kennedy Nzechukwu, butchered that again. So he lost in round 2, kind of just, gassed out a bit. But since then, he's been on an 8-fight win streak for Carlos Ulberg. But yeah, listening to Dominick Reyes in some of the previews, interview with Mike Bond, MMA Junkie, he was saying, like, we've got, I'll just bring it up. Stupid thing. These guys, he was saying, like, we're equal in athleticism. Like, both guys super athletic. Dominick Reyes, he's got that American football base. Carlos Ulberg, he's got that rugby union base. So who's going to have the best base for MMA coming out of this, or coming into this? I always say rugby is, but Dominick Reyes, he is known for that athleticism. So they're equal in athleticism and size, both big guys, both explosive. But what Reyes was saying, we're not equal in experience, not equal in this fight media stuff, this fight week, all these media obligations. Like, these guys had to fly out a month earlier to do a promo in Perth for the event. Reyes has that 5-round experience, Ulberg doesn't. So that's where the point of difference in this fight is. Reyes has been there, seen it, done it, especially everything else revolving around just this fight. So how Ulberg's going to handle that, we're currently seeing it. It seems all good. We'll find out afterwards in the review, but it's a lot to take in. I'd say as a fighter, I wouldn't know, but everyone that talks about the UFC and the big fights, all these media obligations, just everything in and around it, not like the sold out arenas, the fans. We'll get into this arena, whether it's sold out or not. It's a fight night, not a pay-per-view this time in Perth. But yeah, so this would, if Ulberg goes on to win this and wins well, finishes Reyes, he's going to have a lot of XP boosted into him going into a title fight, because he's never had to be the headliner, do all these media obligations. And what I do find that is in Ulberg's favor is the people around him. He's got Israel Adesanya right by his side, gym training partner, and other people, other members of City Kickboxing out of Auckland, New Zealand, who have been there, done that, giving him advice, telling him, you save your energy for this, don't go too hard on the media, don't use all your energy on the media, just stay calm, don't, waste your energy, save your energy. So he's got those people around him to navigate this huge moment in his career. And so does Reyes, because he's been there, done that. But I think that's what's going to help Ulberg overcome this huge fight that's happening at Perth, are the people that are around him. So, but let's get into some Perth facts. We're back in Perth. I put up a carousel post. Perth is one of the most the most isolated major city in the world. Perth is in Western Australia. It's about a 5-hour or 6-hour flight to Sydney or Brisbane to the east coast. So most of the population in Australia lives on the east coast, and it's quicker to go to New Zealand than it is to Perth. So Perth, the metro city, has approximately 2.2 million people, and it's 5 hours to Singapore. So a lot of people end up going to like Southeast Asia. It's quicker to go there than it is to go all the way over to the east coast. Yeah, Australia is huge. Bring it up on the maps. It is, yeah, massive. And Perth is just, that's why it's so isolated, because the nearest major city is 2,100 kilometers away, which is Adelaide, which is like in the south, which is on the south of Australia, in South Australia, like real south. And that's probably a 3-hour flight, 2.5, 3-hour flight to the next major city. So it's isolated. So people in Perth, they just gun it straight up to Asia if they want to go somewhere on holiday, like Bali, Indonesia, you got Malaysia. So yeah, it's damn isolated. And previous events we've had in Perth, the last one we had was DDP Adesanya, where DDP ran for submission of Adesanya. Then we had the famous double, when Volk moved up for the lightweight champ to get double champ status against Islam. That infamous fight, Volk got the loss, but is what, it goes down in history as, it's one of the greatest title fights of all time. And that was at RAC Arena, 15,000 capacity. And yeah, it's just a good place. And you think, why Perth? Why bring the UFC to Perth? Why not keep it in Sydney, which they do go to? But what about Melbourne? What about Brisbane? And it comes down to that money and government. And the government, they bid in, to try and get the UFC, as well as other places around the world, cities that want events in their city. You got to bid and put up the money to get those events. So the Western Australian government, they put up the money in hopes to bring more tourism, stimulate the economy, bring people into Perth, put it on the map, because people are like, where the fuck is this place, and why is it so, it's so fucking far away, why would we go there? And using the UFC, such a global, internationally recognized sport, bring them into your city. Now you got people around the world going, oh, what, Perth, where's that? Oh, beaches? That's in Perth, those beaches? Perth has some of the best beaches in the world. I haven't been myself. I'd like to go eventually. So yeah, I don't know if we keep getting this, building up the numbers. Yeah, we can go out there and shoot some content. But yeah, it's home of the NBL Perth Wildcats, which is the basketball. And then we got 2 AFL Aussie rules teams, Fremantle Dockers and West Coast Eagles. But yeah, Perth is, in Western Australia, is like just a whole nother world, whole nother country in itself almost. Like, it's just so secluded. People here, myself on the East Coast, like, we just don't think about it at all. Like, we just go, oh, Perth, oh, like, not much doing over there except for some beaches and Aussie rules teams. So good to see the UFC back in there, but that's why they're there. And I believe, listening to Paul Felder, who'll be, doing the commentary there, he's got to go from the East Coast of America, fly to LA, and then fly to Sydney, and then Perth. So that's like, 30+ hour flight haul just to get to Perth. Like, that is insane. I don't know how they do it, but it's a long fucking way. But let me know if you've been to Perth, or you would go to Perth. Like, would you travel all the way to Perth just to watch the UFC? Let me know in the comments. But and what's great about this card are the Australian New Zealand fighters that are on it. There's, except for one fight, it's just filled with ANZ fighters. And what people don't realise, we're cooking here in Australia and New Zealand with our regional scene. The biggest promotions are Eternal MMA and Hex Fight Series. So a lot of those guys are fought on those promotions in the regional scenes that are now in the UFC. And Jack Della Maddalena, for example, was at Eternal MMA welterweight champ. He's the first person from Eternal MMA to then go on to be a UFC champ. But there's plenty of other guys in this fight card that are fought in these local promotions. And as we go through the card, you know, we got Jack Jenkins versus, he was at Eternal, Jimmy Crute, I don't believe Jimmy was, or Justin, but Tom Nolan, Navajo, Sterling, Jonathan McAuliffe, he was Hex Fight Series welterweight champ, Kobe Thickness, Volk's training partner. I went and watched him pro debut at Eternal MMA back in 2020, which was my first ever MMA live event I went to. And it was Kobe Thickness, and Volkanovski was cornering him. I was like, are you serious? First event I go to, I see the featherweight champ Volkanovski on the Gold Coast. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, but yeah, like, not a lot of big names on this card, but you're not going to be a lot of fun fights, and fun fights gets thrown around when it's not like big names. It's like, they're going to be good fights, but a lot's on the line for these people as far as like their career and everything, but title aspects, ranking aspects, not a lot on the line. I'd say Jake Matthews, I'm really looking forward to seeing him fight. I'm really, you know, after his last fight, I jokingly said his title run starts now. Jake Matthews is on an absolute tear right now. If I just go onto his Tapology, I think he's on a 3-fight win streak. He's in the welterweight division, just about in the rankings. I believe this fight against Neil Magny, if he wins, he will get a ranking, because he's really coming into his own. He's been in the UFC for so long now. He started out like 18, 19 on the Ultimate Fighter. Honestly, I thought he should have been the co-main against Neil Magny for this bout, but oh, sun's gone down. I assume the lighting's not the greatest. Probably a bit dark at the moment, but is what it is. Probably need a bigger light. But Jake Matthews, man. I'm frozen. All right. Yeah, he's on a 3-fight win streak. He's coming off that round 1 rear naked choke win over Chitty Bang Bang. He got that decision win earlier this year against Francisco Prado on the DDP UFC Sydney card. So he's got 2 wins this year, looking to get a 3rd, and he should get a ranking. He's 15-7 in the UFC. And like, he's lost to tough guys like Michael Morales, top 10 welterweight. Sean Brady, you know, rank 1 or 2 welterweight, who's beaten the former champ Leon Edwards. So he's lost to tough guys, and yeah, I'm really cheering for this guy against Neil Magny. Tough vet he's facing, but you know, Jake, you know, you could say he's a bit of a vet, he's a vet himself. Like, he's 22-7 as far as like fight mileage, but he's only 30. Yeah, he's only like 30 years old, so he's coming into his prime now. And yeah, very much looking forward to this fight between Jake Matthews and Neil Magny. And I'm just going to go back to a bit all over the shot here. Sorry guys, but going to go back to the main event and just quickly break it down a bit more. Now, Ulberg is $1.40. Reyes, $3. So 3-1 underdog Reyes is. I'm picking Reyes to win. I think he might, you know, if his path to victory for Reyes, I believe, is a knockout or decision. Because I can very much clearly see where Ulberg's path to victory is. Is a decision, or, you know, how's Reyes' chin holding up? Like, he got those 3 in a row knockout losses. And if Ulberg connects with that check hook, could be lights out. But Ulberg, you know, he's coming off he's coming off the win against Jan. You know, it didn't leave, you know, he just seemed pretty hesitant. Jan's a tough guy though, that's what I mean. Like, Polish Power is a tough guy. and he's really been shot up. And if you look at his career, Carlos Ulberg, he's only, oh, this fucking thing. Like, he's 12-1. Carlos Ulberg has 13 professional fights. So most of his fights have been in the UFC. So he's had 9 fights in the UFC out of his 13 professional fights. So he's been still developing his game while being in the UFC. So because he's now getting not catapulted, but versing these high level guys, it's becoming, you could probably start to justify and reason why that Yarn fight didn't look great, because he's still learning in there, and he's problem solving and learning with serious consequences. So give him a little bit of a leniency there. But Volkan Oezdemir, so he's coming off 2 decision wins, back-to-back decision wins, but he finished Alonzo Menfield in the first 12 seconds of round 1. I mean, that was all Alonzo's fault. That guy just came charging in like a bull. Lowest fight IQ moment I've seen in a fight. Excuse me, with Alonzo Menfield just charging in, and he got slept. But yeah, and Carlos Ulberg, think about this. So Dominick Reyes is kind of the same. Like, he fought John Jones when he was 12-0. So Dominick Reyes fought John Jones when he was 12-0. And at that time, Ulberg was 3-0 fighting in the Dana White Contender Series. So that was in 2020. Started 2020, they fought. Reyes, Jones. So Reyes was 6-0 in the UFC when he fought. He only had 6 fights in the UFC when he fought John Jones. So when you talk about experience and whatever, it's kind of similarities with the way this is kind of going. Both guys have low fight mileage. Reyes does have the more experience, but when he got put up against the greatest fighter of all time, he was essentially at the same sort of area of his career as Ulberg is right now. So that's like Ulberg, that's why, like, he is the favorite, obviously, but when you get questions around his experience and whatever, it's like, well, Reyes, he was fighting for the title with almost less experience than what Carlos Ulberg has. So that's what's intriguing about this fight, just some similarities there. And, in the light, as the weight goes up, as the heavier divisions go up, Daniel Cormier literally said this on the other day on Aljamain Sterling's podcast, like, the skill level isn't as high because everyone's just striking in the heavier weight divisions. It's just mainly all striking. As it goes lighter and lighter, the wrestling, the grappling, the jiu-jitsu plays a part, which is why 155 pounds is the hardest and most highly skilled division in MMA. But as far as like all of sports, to be a champion in that division or just to be winning championship, it's like the hardest thing to do, in my opinion. But yeah, just, and like with Reyes, so these guys are both good off the back foot, both good counter strikers, but I like that Reyes is more aggressive. He can turn it on and be more aggressive, and Ulberg hasn't really shown that. He's been pretty hesitant, so that's where I do see where Reyes can really take control of this fight and just go, I want it more. Be the aggressor, and that's where he can win on points, decision, or just fluster Ulberg and finish him. And Reyes now, like, just seeing him, great dude, respectful, and listening to his interviews, he just seems so sure of himself now, super confident. Like, he couldn't have gotten any lower in his career. Like, he's fucking was in the dark place. People were telling him to retire. I was starting to think it too. I'm like, damn, another finish like that. He was on 3 knockouts in a row. It's time to give it up, man. Because he was just coming in recklessly in his fights, just recklessly entering the void and just getting fucked up. So, and what happened after that John Jones loss, he kind of, I don't know if he fully changed his team, but he went away from what he was doing because he was paraphrasing this sort of stuff, just like, well, if this didn't get me to win the title, then I got to try something different. And he did that. He tried different things, training, gyms or whatever, and he went on that 4-fight losing streak, and he came full circle like, nah, what I was doing was right. I shouldn't have changed it up. He went back to that. Now he's on a 3-fight win streak, and he's so confident and sure of himself, like, yes, I'm doing the right things. I got the right people around me. Keep doing that, and this will keep getting me wins. And it's great to see, you know, because they're not just fighters, they are people, and it's a roller coaster of a sport. And, you know, they're just humans going through it, adapting, learning, innovating, adjusting, the highs and lows. And Dominick Reyes has been through it all. So that's why I'm kind of rooting for this guy as well, because I just want to keep seeing him rise and keep getting to that title. Obviously, I want to see Ulberg get the title as well, but tough instance because Reyes is kind of the crowd favorite, fan favorite in this matchup. And Reyes was talking like he wants to fight, get that Yuri fight back at UFC White House, get that Yuri, because that Yuri Prohaska fight was pretty wild. Go back and watch it, and then he got that spinning elbow, and yeah, and he doesn't want to fight Alex Pereira because they have trained together. He says they're friends, and what was interesting is like, yeah, Reyes was like, I was partying with Yuri, I've partied with him, good dude, but interesting sport, like interesting MMA is like you can go in there and get fucked up, knocked out, and then be partying a few hours later with the same guy. And yeah, so I won't add too much more about that main event. Let me know your predictions on this fight, who you got. I got Reyes. I'll probably do a live reaction to this as well, but yeah, I got Reyes. Let me know who you got, and I'll quickly just skim over the rest of the card. Let's see. How's this sunset looking? Not too pink yet. It's getting there. I hope you can still see me. But as we get into the rest of the card, yeah, just a lot of ANZ fighters. You know, it is a pretty good, you know what? I can't let this go to waste. Quick drinks break. Before I get in the rest of this card, I'm gonna have a little cigar. Got the Cohiba Wide Short Habana Cuba. Got this from in Prague, way cheaper to get cigars in Europe. No cigarettes or vapes for me, fuck no. Big cigar guy on occasions, and Sunset Cigar is the way to go. And I say smoke cigars if you do want to have end up smoking, because it's expensive and it's less bad for you, which means you don't end up smoking as much. And yeah, I wasn't planning on doing this, but yeah, these sunsets are beautiful to just kick back, talk some shit. So if you're on the Spotify, to the one listener I have, head over to YouTube if you want the visuals. All right, if I just get my hands sorted here. All right. Rest of the card, guys. Jimmy Crute, Ivan Erslan, main event. Jimmy Crute, you know, he didn't get a win in almost 5 years. He's back on a tear. It's going to be some fun fights here. Some big guys going at it. I got Jimmy Crute, of course. Jack Jenkins coming back from injury against Roman Tavares. Another great fight. Of course, I'm going the Aussie Jack Jenkins. Jake Matthews, Neil Magny. Just previewed a little bit. Jake Matthews. I think Jake Matthews via finish. I think he's going to finish Neil Magny. Tough guy to finish, but I think Matthews is really want to stomp, really go for a title run and get a ranking, and he's going to get a finish here. Justin Tafa versus Louis Sutherland. Louis Sutherland just got signed to the UFC. He's a big heavyweight, Scotland. Justin Tafa, as you know, a bit up and down, but always entertaining. Whether win or loss, the fights he's in are entertaining. I don't know, Louis Sutherland, he looks like he pisses fucking straight through the cup. That guy's traps go past his fucking ears, but that's going to be a fun fight. Louis, he kind of comes running in a bit. Can Justin Tafa just get the counter hook? I think he might get overwhelmed just like he did against Teixeira. So my heart's got Tafa, but I think Louis will probably come in and get a big debut win. Tom Nolan versus Charlie Campbell. I got Tom Nolan, 6'3", rangy, lightweight. You know, absolutely huge for the decision. I think he will piece up Charlie Campbell. Super biased here, of course, for the Oz New Zealand guys, but is what it is. Jonathan McAuliffe, Cam Rouston versus Andre Petrovsky. I got Cam Rouston. Now, I'm looking forward to this. Jonathan McAuliffe versus Oban Elliott. This is going to be an exciting matchup. Both tough guys. Jonathan McAuliffe, the captain, you know, Hex Fight Series, welterweight champ. He had a great debut. I believe he finished his opponent. No, he got decision against Kevin Jessett. Yeah, Kevin Jessett in Sydney early this year. He got the decision win. Great fight. But yeah, like if you're kind of unknown with these guys like Jonathan McAuliffe, tune into him. You won't be disappointed. The vet, Jamie Malarkey versus Rolando Badea. I'm just choosing Aussies. Kobe Thickness versus Josias Musasa from the Congo. Mentioned before, Kobe Thickness, great grappler, great ground game. He debuted early this year on short notice against Ilia Toporia's brother, Alessandro Topuria. It was too early for him, Volk was saying in his preview for this event. It was just too early, but you got to jump on those opportunities when the UFC calls. And that's what they did. They jumped on the opportunity. Lost via decision, was competitive, but just, you know, wasn't ready for it. But it is what it is. It was his first career loss. But Kobe's looking to get back in the win column. He's 7-1. Great ground game, jiu-jitsu. I will say though, he does get clipped a bit in the stand-up. He has been working on it, but like I've seen it live twice, just getting clipped in the first round. Always in the first round, kind of gets in trouble. But he weathers the storm, uses that ground game, and that's where I think he can win by submission here. Luana Carolina versus Michelle Montague, going the New Zealand girl. Brando Pericic versus Elijah Ellison, heavyweight bout. Brando the Balkan, trains out of CKB as well, making his UFC debut. Big heavyweight, so I got him via knockout. And then the only fight without any ANZ fighters, Loma versus Tayanara, women's featherweight, strawweight. So I'm going to go Tayanara. Her walkout will be interesting to watch. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on UFC Perth, who you think's going to win. But yeah, as I finish cigar, yeah, don't smoke. But on special occasions, first sunset video recording of a preview. But yeah, because I'm not a fighter, I'm not going to give you the greatest X's and O's, but I'll give you stuff outside to think about. Bit of point of difference, but yeah, kind of wanted to take this in a direction of, you know, getting outdoors, being active, because that's what I'm about, but also talking about the sport I love, and that's what we're kind of doing here. So I appreciate the support. We hit a milestone, we'll say, you know, cigars, you got to have one when you hit a milestone. Huge milestone, 65 subscribers on the YouTube. Massive, right? So grateful for the guys and girls subscribing. Appreciate the MMA degenerates tuning in. But yeah, this is all just raw dogging. I'm a bit of a raw dog guy, rubber no doubt. So, and you know, embrace, you know, reject modernity, embrace tradition. And yeah, a bit of a traditional guy. So yeah, I just like to fucking off the cuff, raw dog it, no edits. Fuck it, we'll find out. Approach to things. But yeah, like not much else to add to this preview. I'm kind of just rambling towards the end here, but I'll be doing a review. I'll try and get up, you know, as it's heading in, you know, we're a month into spring now and the sun really comes up early, you know, 5:30 a.m. So it's an early wake up for these sunrise ones, but you know, fuck it, I'll do it. But yeah, we'll be doing the review for Perth. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that shit. But yeah, huge weekend on in Australia though. We got Snoop Dogg performing, pre-show performance, pre-entertainment for the AFL Grand Final. If you don't know what it is, it's essentially like our NFL. So it's Aussie rules. It's literally only played in Australia, in literally like Melbourne, Adelaide, and Perth. But Brisbane Lions are in the grand final for the second year in a row. They won it last year, so they're looking to go back to back. I'm a Gold Coast Suns guy, but Lions are the second team, so they're versing Geelong Cats. They're a bit like, you could say, they won it in 2022, so they're like a top 4 team. They're always in the playoffs, if you call it that, for the Americans watching. So they got Snoop Dogg as a pre-game entertainment. So we'll be performing. So that's on a Saturday. We'll have also got Wallabies taking on the All Blacks in the rugby union at the same time, Saturday Arvo. So lots on. And then Sunday, we got the UFC main card, 12 p.m. our time, Sunday Arvo. Australia, East Coast has the best time slot. So I think Perth is like 2 hours behind. So it's really like 10 a.m. their time, the main card starts. And then Sunday Arvo footy, prelim final, Broncos take on Penrith Panthers. So big weekend of sport in Australia. Looking forward to it. But yeah, if you're not from Australia, you wouldn't really know what I'm talking about. But the more you watch, the more you'll probably learn more about Australian sport and a bit of culture or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Again, first sunset preview. I keep trying to pull up in weird locations. You never know where I'll be next, but yeah, let me know your prediction, comment location if you want the specific. You know, I don't really want to give this place out because it's quiet and beautiful. Not a lot of foot traffic, but comment location if you want it. But appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the review. Catch you later.